Hi there. My name is Nicolo Prentice, and you're listening to Mama's Lullaby podcast, where we celebrate you and your journey to and through motherhood, the good, the hard, and the scary, giving you a place to be nurtured and mothered. You deserve it. Welcome. Hey guys, it's Michelle. Please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe so we can keep you up to date on all the latest podcasts. Hello everyone, my name is Nicolo Prentice and welcome to my kitchen and Mama's Lullaby podcast, where we celebrate motherhood of every stage. We want you to know that what you're doing is one of the most important jobs in the entire world, and we see you and we honor you, and we really, this whole podcast is about telling our stories, because every mom has her story. And if there's something in this story today that helps you in some way, that is my prayer. So today I have such an immense pleasure to introduce to you one of my dearest longtime friends, Marilee Evans. She flew in all the way from Arizona to do this podcast. Well, not just to do this podcast, but while she was here, I said, we have to do a podcast. So Marilee, thank you so much for being here.
My goodness, thank you for having me. It's an honor for sure.
I am really excited. So I think Marilee was like in her early 20s when I met her. Mm-hmm. And she's grown up. We've both grown up together.
Yes, we have.
But so Marilee, tell us a little bit about your story. So you were born with spina bifida, right? Can you
Yes.
tell us a little bit what that is?
Yes, spina bifida is a actually very common birth defect that happens in pregnancy. It's the very bottom part of the spine doesn't form properly, and depending on where it stops forming is how a person is affected, how much a person is affected. So for me, I walked most of my life with leg braces and the use of walkers, and then as an adult, started having pain and weakness in my legs, and so have been using a wheelchair for about 15 years.
Okay. And so what I want to tell you about Marilee is just that her spirit and her mental game is so good. Like I've never heard Marilee complain, literally, about anything. And I'm like, you want to do this, Marilee? Yep, I want to do it. Okay. I mean, I just love that about you, just as the human being that you are. You went to massage school. You learned to be a masseuse. She just gave a great massage. I will tell you that. She's just one of those people. She decides to do something and then she figures out how to do it and then she does it. And I love that. It's very inspiring to me. But you also always wanted to be a mom, right?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
It was the only thing I ever wanted, really, that even as a very tiny little girl, it was the thing when somebody said, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a mom.
Yeah.
At like 4 or 5, I was saying that.
And you nannied children too.
I was a nanny for years. I worked in daycare for many, many years. Yeah. I was a child development major in school. So it was part of my heart from the very, very beginning. Yeah. It was something that was kind of a non-negotiable for me. Yeah. It was going to happen either way. So I didn't know the course of my life, how that was going to turn out, but it was always the plan. It was always what I wanted to do. So.
I gotcha. So tell us a little bit about your journey of becoming a mom. Yeah. Because that's quite a story.
Well, like I said, it was in the plan. And so I was in my mid-30s and not married and not in a relationship. And I started thinking, well, this needs to happen. So I'm going to have it happen anyway. It's got to happen. So I decided to have a child on my own.
I just decided to have a child on my own. So how did you even go about finding a way to do that? Like, I mean, how do you I
used an anonymous donor. Okay. I went through a cryobank in California that friends had also used. Okay. So I knew it was very reputable. They have very strict rules with who they take. And so I contacted them. It's a long process, but it's a really interesting process. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people to choose from, and I spent many, many hours going through things. Ended up using the person that I had seen that was the first one I ever saw. Okay. And I just kept going back to that person and that person and that person.
What was it about that particular person that kind of
They gave you an audio tape of an interview that they did with him.
Oh.
And it was his heart.
Oh, how wonderful.
His heart. He said, I want to help people that deserve to be parents that are having trouble to getting down that path. He had a lot of creative traits. He just spoke to my heart.
Yeah.
He spoke to my heart. And nobody else that I listened to did to that extent. So.
Wow. That's awesome.
You know.
Whoa. So, okay. So you go to the sperm bank, right? Is that, or whatever it's called? What's it called?
It's a cryobank.
Cryobank.
Yes.
Okay. And you just say this person and they just hand you something. Here you go.
They sent it to my doctor.
Oh, okay.
My doctor. So I never went down there. You could read all the paperwork and things. They sent you the paperwork and you could read about the person. And I saw videos of, an interview, audio interview, and then photographs of him when he was a child.
Okay.
So then my doctor did all the procedures.
Okay.
And it took a very long time.
How long did it take?
6 years.
Wow.
On and off.
What goes on in your mind every month that you're not pregnant? Like, how did you emotionally deal with that?
Yeah.
How did you get through that? Because that's 6 years. I mean,
It was a long time.
That's some stick-to-itness.
Because I knew it was the thing that was it was what I had always wanted, and it was worth it. There wasn't a choice for me ever.
Yeah.
It was just keep going until you can't do that anymore.
Right.
And so I was toward the end of that road, really. I had I think 12 vials to begin with.
Okay.
And I was down to my last one.
Oh, wow.
And I had kind of a talk with myself. Are we doing this? What are we doing? Are we taking another break? And something said, just try one more time. Just try one more time. And that was the month that I got pregnant.
So tell me
I
have chills. Tell me what that moment when that stick, because I imagine you peed on a stick, right?
I actually had done that a million times myself.
Okay.
By myself. I had seen more negative pregnancy tests than I have ever wanted to see, obviously.
Yeah.
And that last time I took a sample into my doctor, who I'm dear friends with.
Okay.
And I said, I can't do it alone anymore.
Oh.
I can't do this last one alone.
Good for you.
I just can't. And so they did it in their little lab, and then he came back and told me. And
so tell me how that felt.
It was amazing. It was the most amazing moment ever. Aside from the day he was born.
Yeah.
It was the most amazing moment ever, especially to have it be a friend telling me that too.
Yeah.
So it was, I'll never forget it ever.
I love that you asked for support.
It's just a life lesson I finally learned over the course of my life. I wasn't really let me go ask for lots of help kind of person. I really wasn't, although people offered it, kindly offered it over and over and over. But in that moment I knew, again, I was very close with him, and I knew that last time was the last time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm grateful that I was able to ask for help that day.
I'm really glad. And I think, that's the thing about women and moms. Sometimes we're so good at just getting stuff done, figuring it out, just get it done. But there's no shame in asking for support and help.
We need to do it more.
Yeah,
we do. There are people that want to support us and they want to help. Yeah. And sometimes it feels like we're asking for this big thing, and really, I've had people tell me over and over, you're giving me a gift too by asking for help. I
was going to say that because it feels so good to help somebody else. Yes. And when you don't allow someone to help you, you kind of steal that joy from them in a sense. Not steal it, but you don't allow them to have that experience.
Exactly.
Because we're so worried of bothering people or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you get pregnant. Tell me about the pregnancy. And
it was amazing. I've never felt better in my whole life.
Those hormones are, those are good things.
I was sick. But,
of course.
But my spirit was so at peace.
Yeah.
It had been such a long journey that I was so at peace and so happy that it was the best time. The best time of my life. So
yeah. And then you had him C-section?
I did have a C-section. He was born at 37 weeks because it was over. I was due on New Year's Eve.
Oh.
And so it was over Christmas break for people.
Yeah.
And my doctor was like, we need to get a certain team. I want a certain team here because it was a planned C-section.
Right.
I have spina bifida, so I can't have.
Oh, we can't have a spinal.
Epidurals. Yes.
Oh, so what did they do?
I had to be put under general anesthesia.
Oh, okay.
So they wanted a specific team for that.
Sure.
And so he was born on December 18th. So she said, "What day do you want him? What day do you want?" So, anyway,
okay.
18 has been kind of a number for me.
Okay.
And so when I got pregnant and he was due on New Year's Eve, I knew he was coming on December 18th. I didn't know how.
Interesting.
Because by then, before then, I didn't know I was having a C-section, all those things. But yes, anyway, I got to pick December 18th. So
that's great. That's awesome. And his name is?
His name is Emerson David James.
And tell me about the name.
Emerson is a name that I literally had since I was a teenager.
Wow.
I had both names. I had a girl's name and a boy's name. And it was a name I heard in an interview one time on television, and somebody said, my daughter, they had a daughter named Emerson, and I said, I'm going to use that for a boy. I love it. So, and then David is my dad's name.
Okay.
And James, my mother had called me when I was about 6 months pregnant and said, I've named the baby. You've named the baby? Okay.
I have named the baby.
Okay.
We're done.
So I said, okay, what's his name? And she said, Alexander James. And I said, well, I can use part of that. I'd like to use part of that. So I put the James on there.
Okay. Love it. Love it.
For her. So
that's so awesome.
Yeah.
So what about being a mom has been your most favorite thing? What's the most favorite thing about being a mom to you?
Oh my goodness. Picking one is hard, I think.
I know. It's
right?
True. Yeah.
That connection with another human being that is like nothing I've ever experienced in my whole life and could never have prepared for ever.
Yeah.
I was a nanny for 3 little girls who I adore more than I can put into words. And the connection that I had with my son from the minute he was here felt different.
Yeah.
And it's not describable, right?
Yeah,
You can't describe that feeling.
It is a hard thing to describe. And, in other podcasts that we've done, we've talked to moms who suffered with postpartum depression where they didn't feel a connection to their child. And that was a very difficult,
I'm sure.
Because we have this expectation of having that feeling.
Yes.
But not everybody gets that, unfortunately. And so how beautiful that you got to have that experience.
Beautiful. I do have experience with some of that. I was a doula for many years.
Oh.
And so
How did I not know that?
I was for about 20 years. And so I went through those experiences with moms postpartum. And you're exactly right. There were so many that didn't feel that connection. So, I'm very blessed that I felt it from the second that it was here. So.
Yeah. And, I think as moms, sometimes we think, there's a right way and there's the wrong way. Like when I had my daughter, I had to have a C-section. I ended up having all my children 3 C-section, but I had just been in the delivery room with a friend of mine who had her baby like a month before I had mine. And she had the baby normal. I was taking pictures for her and everything. And it was like, oh, okay, that was easy. And then it came my turn and Gabby turned and all of a sudden she was breech.
Yes.
And then when I got to the hospital and I was in labor, they're like, well, do you want to try and deliver breech? And I was like, something inside me just said no. And so after I had her C-section, I felt like I wasn't really a woman. I felt less than because I didn't have it the normal way, the natural way, like I always thought I would have, right? Yeah. And that was a really interesting, I've heard a lot of women say that they felt like they didn't do it right or they weren't a real woman or...
I've heard that a lot too with my doula work.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah, and it's so sad. We're so hard on ourselves.
We just, there's nothing different about it. You are a mom.
Yeah.
And you were a mom, either way.
Yes, so. Either way. One way, the head comes out really nice and round. And the other way, it might be a little squished for a while. I mean,
my C-section wasn't planned the whole time.
Oh, okay.
I was going to try to have him naturally, and he never turned. He was transverse, which is
that's how Mila was. My granddaughter was.
So he stayed that way for.
He's like, I'm good. I'm good right here.
Right.
I don't want to be upside down.
No,
I'm not a bat.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so So tell us a little more. He's born and you're on cloud nine. I remember coming to see you for his
It was
baptism.
amazing.
He's so gorgeous. He's such a gorgeous boy. And he's 11 now, right?
He's 11.
And he's like taller than us. You know,
He is. He's 5'1" and 100 pounds.
Oh my gosh. So tell us about the rest of your journey with him.
So it was a day by day, or sometimes minute by minute.
Yeah.
There was issues with how am I going to transfer him? How am I going to hold him? How am I going to get him into his crib?
Right.
So
because of you. Now, were you in the wheelchair by then?
I was.
Okay.
I was. I went into this motherhood journey in a wheelchair.
You are so brave. I'm just like, oh my God.
You have to follow your heart.
Yeah.
You have to, no matter what the obstacles look like. There just wasn't a choice for me.
Okay.
So I knew, because by then I was starting to ask for help.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
From people. And I knew I had enough support that it was going to be okay.
Okay.
And the longing was so intense and such a heart thing that I knew it would figure itself out.
Yeah.
It just
That's some faith right there.
It was absolutely a journey in faith.
Yeah.
100%. My whole life has been a journey in faith.
Indeed.
It really has. So, but parenting, by far, the most faith I've ever had to have.
I'm sure. Well, parenting by far, we all need to have that faith.
Yes.
Whether you are in a wheelchair or you're not in a wheelchair.
Yes.
I mean, it is just an intense job.
It is. Faith and flexibility are the two things I live by in my life. So.
All right, so go on.
So it was really just a journey in how is it physically going to work for him to be maneuvered around the house.
Right.
And again, support. I just had support. Person after person after person showed up for me, yourself included, to help me, to show me the way. My mother moved in with me for 6 months and was there every second.
Yeah.
It was hard, certainly, but certainly doable.
Yeah.
The whole way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's awesome. So at what stage did you find out that Emerson had some issues?
So he developed very normally, typically, he was meeting all of his milestones in infancy and early toddlerhood and all of that. And then around 3, I put him into a preschool program.
Okay.
And in the course of 2 weeks, I was living with a different child.
Wow.
He stopped eating, he stopped sleeping, he stopped talking. It was literally night and day. In retrospect, there were a few things beforehand that I didn't know about. So I can now say, oh yeah, that was happening when he was 1.
Like what?
There are things that can happen in autism and things that actually kids just do. So it was hard to kind of see the intersection of them. Walking on his toes, not talking as much as, like I would say his name and he would look at me, but not, I mean, there are 2-year-olds that come up to me now that you can have full conversations with.
Okay.
And that was not my experience at all.
Okay.
But even, I was a nanny for girls.
Right.
And I had a little boy.
Yeah. And boys are different.
He's just different. It's just because he's a boy.
Right.
I really did. He never stopped moving. He literally, if he could be moving, he was.
Gotcha.
So when I put him in that program, clearly there was something that was going on. So I have a friend who I had known for many years who has an adult son on the autism spectrum. Okay. And she is a neurodevelopmentalist.
Okay.
So, and an amazing woman. And so I asked her to come to our house and meet him.
Okay.
And she came for a morning and was amazing and said, I see some things.
Yeah.
So she took me by the hand and she showed me the way.
And at that moment, sort of what was going through your mind when she said, I see some things? What was going on in your head?
I have a different life. I have had a totally different trajectory than most people, a lot of people. As long as we were doing it together, we were going to be okay.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, he's an amazing child. He has shown me the lens in which he sees life is so specific and so beautiful. He lives right here in this moment.
Yeah.
there isn't yesterday, there isn't tomorrow. It is right now. And that is such a gift for me as a mom. So I was certainly scared. Yeah. Certainly. The unknown is scary for anything. Mm-hmm. But there was so much love happening that we were going to be okay. Yeah. And I have, again, so much support. Yeah. Even people that I didn't know had that experience, that had already been down my road. Yes. Just appeared. They appear out of nowhere. It's unbelievable to me. It still happens. Yeah. It's so awesome. It's beautiful. So that's how.
Oh, I love that. It's so, and it is sort of, if we allow it to just come and trust that it will happen. And you have had such amazing support. Are there some, for anyone out there who might have a special needs child with autism or whatever, what kind of things do you look for support outside of your family and stuff? Like,
my goodness,
what kind of agencies do you go? Like, if someone's like, I don't even know where to begin. Like, where would somebody?
In your local city, there is going to be support. You have to look for it a little bit sometimes, but there is. I promise.
Did you go to the government website? Where did you look?
My friend showed me the way.
Okay.
She said we are. For us, it's the Department of Developmental Disabilities. Okay. And I have all of my services for him through that department. They come to your home, they do an evaluation of, there's criteria to get the support that you need. And there's different degrees. And so first I had to have him be evaluated by a physician that gave me the autism diagnosis, which as soon as that happened, then you're kind of...
Okay, you're in.
Yeah. I took him to this amazing woman again. Amazing. Yeah. She was amazing. And held my hand and step by step took me through that process. It was a 3-hour evaluation. She was unbelievable and kind. My friend Lisa that had sort of led the way at the beginning went with me. Oh, wow. She took us down there together. The three of us, Emerson and I and Lisa all went down there, and this Dr. Long is her name. She's beautiful and wonderful.
This is in Arizona?
This is in Arizona, yes. She's a child psychologist, and she specializes in ADHD and autism, and she's amazing. Okay. So in that course of that 3 hours, you can see what's going to happen. Sure. You can see the trajectory. I didn't know what she was going to be asking him. And the moment she did ask him to do something, I knew what was happening because he wasn't going to do it. Right. He couldn't ask for his needs to be met. She would ask him, which toy do you want to play with? And he wouldn't be able to tell her. Yeah. Things like that. Yeah. Yeah. It was more clear to me during that, during that a couple of hours than it had been in my own life. Right. With him at home. Right. Because I didn't ask much of him. I knew what he needed. Yeah. And I just took care of it. Yeah. I took care of it. So
kind of what we do, isn't it?
It is what it is. It's what my mom had done. It's what I had done. Yeah. And so it was just very clear that there was bigger things happening that I had not witnessed in my own house because I was just taking care of it all.
Right. That just speaks again to sort of the community or the sage women who've been there before. It's so important to have those women, and not everybody gets that in their life. Some people are very isolated and they don't have family and friends, and they don't, or maybe there's just so much. And if you're blessed to have that, wow, it's just so beautiful. But also, if you're not blessed to have that, learning to ask, it's hard, but there are so many people out there who want to help.
Exactly. And share your own experiences with people. Then you can be the one that leads the way. Mm-hmm. That is what other mothers have done for me over and over and over in my son's 11. He was diagnosed at 3. Lead the way. Yeah. Take other moms by the hand and say, this is how we're going to do this together. Yeah. That is what I have experienced over and over.
It's so beautiful.
It is beautiful.
And you just pay it forward.
And now I get to do it with other moms.
Yes. That's, you pay it forward. Yes, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. So tell me what's going to happen in your future here. I mean, not what's going to happen, but tell me, what are your goals now? What are the things you're looking towards and doing? I know you've got something new on the horizon that you've started. Tell me a little bit about that. Tell us all about that.
Lead with love.
Okay.
Yes. It's the thing I want most for Emerson in his life are for people to be kind and loving to him is the most important thing to me. Yeah. And I have experienced so much of that in my own life. I have been showered with more kindness and love by people I knew and people I didn't know through the course of my life. It's extraordinary. And I want that for him.
Yeah.
So there was a name that came to me about 3 years ago called Lead with Love. And I want people to do that in their own life. Lead with love for yourself. Yeah. Lead with love for others. Show other mothers the way. Show other friends the way.
Yeah.
And just be kind. And I started this, it's not a podcast yet.
Okay.
It will be.
Okay.
Right now it's just a page on the Instagram.
Okay.
Where I talk about experiences that I have had of people that have been extraordinarily kind to me. And it can be, some of the stories are people that I knew, and some of the stories are people that I have met within the last month. Okay. Everyone that shows that extra kind of kindness gets a space there.
I love it.
It's the more we talk about it, the more it happens.
Of course. It's like what you focus on, you get more of, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
I love that.
So there's stories of, I was looking for, this is such a random story, but I was looking for a gas station because my wheelchair requires a compartment above my car. It sits on the top of my car and my car will not fit into the regular gas station, the regular car washes. Yeah. So I had to find a hand wash place. And most of them are about $100 in the area that I live. And I was sort of trying to call around, and I went to a gas station and I just said, do you happen to know anyone that has a place that might be a little bit less expensive? And the man, his name is Jose, and he said to me, I want to help you. I have a traumatic brain injury.
Oh my gosh.
And I still work because I want to work and I want to help people. And so please bring your car here. I will do it for $50. I didn't know him at all. I didn't even know about this car wash until that day. I literally just picked it. And there he was. Wow. That is what I'm talking about. Those people have appeared in my life, not by accident. Yeah. By divine design. Yeah. Over and over and over.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. That's beautiful.
I have many stories.
So if people want to find it on Instagram,
it's called To Lead with Love, the number 2, because I really believe.
So like draw out the number 2.
The number 2, and then lead with love.
Okay.
I really believe that being loving starts with yourself.
I agree.
Really, really does. And I didn't do it for years. Let me be loving to everybody else, and I'll just, whatever's left, I'll use here. Yeah. And in the course of my parenting, I have learned it doesn't work long term. Yeah. You can't. And so I put the number 2 there so that people remember it's for ourselves and for others as well.
Yeah, boy, that's a very important point. How we feel about ourselves reverberates out.
Absolutely.
To our children, to our families, to our society.
Yes.
And so with Mama's Lullaby, my goal really, there's many goals, but one of the goals is to really encourage us to self-care. Emotional self-care, physical self-care, spiritual self-care, right? Because we don't think we have time. I gotta get stuff done. I don't have time to go sit on a thing and pray or meditate or whatever, right? Right. But it's so important for us to take that little bit of time. And I have 2 volumes of songs. If you go to mamaslullaby.com, you can hear snippets of everything, or you can download the whole project. But I've got 2 meditations on there. They're just 5 minutes. One's 5, one's 3 or something. Just to give you a moment to breathe, just to say, lock your children in where they're safe and lock yourself in the bathroom and just listen or whatever. But,
yes.
And you recently have been working on things with your weight and the emotional component of food for you, right? That's also a really big thing for you. I know we've talked about it for many years. And a lot of us struggle with food and weight and this thing between, the stuff between our ears.
Yes.
Can you tell us just a little bit about that journey? Because you have transformed yourself, girlfriend.
Thank you.
You look like when I first met you.
when I was
still gorgeous,
21 or something.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But more importantly, what's changed inside.
Yeah, that's what changed.
Right. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. I had an eating disorder for 40 years that I had really well.
Mm-hmm. What does an eating disorder look like that you could hide?
For me, I couldn't. I look at pictures now and go, I wasn't hiding it very well. Clearly, I thought I was hiding it really well. I really, really did. I binged.
Okay.
And then restricted.
Okay.
Binged, restricted. So I could sometimes maintain a typical weight sometimes, and then as my journey in parenting got more challenging with his autism happening, I just I took the restriction part out of it, and I just binged and overate to hide it, or to numb literally everything that felt scary or uncomfortable or anything, literally anything. So I met a woman on Instagram who had my story, and I saw myself in her. And it was the first time I had tried to get help for this many, many years, and had met some wonderful people, but no one had had my story.
Okay.
And she did. And she was on the other side of it. And it gave me, I'm just starting actually a new page called Finding Hope Again.
I love it.
Because that's what she gave me. She gave me hope again. That there was this thing that I had been dealing with for so many years that there was an answer. Yeah. So I took care of this, and I took care of this for a full year. I wasn't following any kind of, I was following somewhat of a calorie deficit, but that's literally all I was doing physically. I was doing the work in here and in here. Right. And all the things that I was trying to numb, I took care of.
You dealt with them.
I dealt with all the things that were so scary and so heartbreaking and all those things. And the minute that I did, I was free. Yeah. When you talk about things, it changed the course of my life. Yeah. It changed the outcome of my life. Absolutely.
Speaking something out loud sort of takes all the power away from it. It like 100%. Deflates it,
100%. And you have to let the tears flow and the anger flow, all of those things, because I had hidden them for so long. They were still there.
Of course.
Everything was still there. I just wasn't using food then. So then as they were kind of coming up to the surface again, I just one by one dealt with those things.
Yeah. So. Wow. Yeah, that's that's a big, huge belief of mine too, for myself, is dealing with the emotional components of our lives, growing up, our childhood, things that happen to us as children, as young adults, all these things, these traumatic things, however we perceive them, get stuck in our subconscious, they get stuck in our bodies, and they come out through different physical ailments and things. And we can clear a lot of that stuff with emotional work. Absolutely. And one of the things that I love, and I'm really wanting to bring to the forefront and with Mama's Lullaby, is using some wonderful tools to help us clean up old traumas and belief systems and things that aren't working for us anymore, and learn how to do it ourselves. So we have the power right in our hands and our heads,
Absolutely. And you are such a huge component of that for me, to work on the anxiety and things. We did that one session, and it changed my life.
Yeah, no, and the session changed. So I do a process called Faster EFT, which is using some tapping and some NLP, working with the subconscious mind, because that's where everything lies. And it changed my life too. So I love being able to help people with that. And you can look up fastereft.com on the website. My mentor is Robert Smith, and he has, had his own traumas in life, and he just wanted to help himself. And so anyway, there's just so much to learn that we can do for ourselves, and then help our children as well.
Absolutely.
We can, the one person helps the next person, helps, then the generations get healthier, and then the society gets healthier, and then everyone lives a happier life. Right?
Absolutely. It's amazing.
Marilee, thank you so much. Your heart is so beautiful. You're so beautiful. I love you so much. Thank you for coming on to Mama's Lullaby. Thank you for stopping by and watching. I hope that you got something amazing out of anything that Marilee said. I hope that you get inspired to help yourself, to do something, to reach out and ask for help if you need it. That's what I'm really encouraging people to do. Just ask and keep asking until someone says yes.
And be gentle with yourself.
Yes.
Just be gentle with yourself.
Yes, yes. You're worth it. You're worth it, Mama. You are doing the hardest job there is out there, and you're doing a good job, and don't let anybody tell you different. So I guess we're going to close this episode. I want you to, if you're interested, check out Marilee's Lead with Love on Instagram, To Lead with Love.
To Lead with Love.
And keep in touch with her, and come on we're on all the platforms. My music is on all the streaming platforms that you can think of. You go to Mama's Lullaby and you can find, we have 2 songs out right now. We're going to keep putting them out as we go. Every 6 weeks we'll release a song, but you can also go to mamaslullaby.com and download the whole 2 volumes if you want right now today, and enjoy. And there's also little snippets, and we have cute merch. We got the Mama's Lullaby t-shirt tank, and we're just gonna have a lot of things. So check us out, come back often. And I can't wait to be able to communicate with you guys and find out what more you want to know about, what would be helpful. This is what we're trying to do with Mama's Lullaby. We're just getting started, and I'm so excited to have Marilee here today and have you. So have the best day. We bless you, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time on a Mama's Lullaby podcast. Bye.
Thank you.